Just leaving Mount Chance, an earlier start this morning. There's been quite a bit of rain overnight. It's only 5:20, so looking to make better time today. We've got to go through this really wet section of Wall Bales where in some places it's going to be over knee height. So we want to get there as quick as we possibly can and try to get there before there's much more rain. The skies are still fairly leaden, there's no doubt about that, and I think we're going to get some. It's just a matter of when and how much. But this will probably be the most, well, not probably, it will be the most testing section of water that we're going to have on this walk. Once it's behind us, we've got about 5 k's tomorrow out of Long Point, and then it stops, and then you can roll a little bit more easily into Walpole. So not too sure if we'll be videoing too much today. We'll see how we go. And here we are at the first obstacle of the day. And given that my shoes are still wet from yesterday, the best way is just to walk across it. The good news appears that the sun is burning off the cloud with some blue sky around, which is going to make it a lot more pleasant. Unfortunately, it's not going to be hot enough or for long enough periods between puddles to dry out my shoes, which are squelching already. I've only been through one substantial puddle, but at least from overhead it looks like things are going to be a little bit more attractive. Just over 9 kilometres in now of a 21 kilometre day, and it's all been pretty cruisy. There was that one, I guess, reasonable puddle about 1 kilometre out of camp that unfortunately ruined my shoes again for the day, but they've almost had a chance to dry out a little bit. We've had a little bit of undulating territory. We're down in some marshland again now, but the real sting in the tail today, we've been told that the last few kilometres into Wall Bales is where we are really going to cop some heavy water. So until then, we're making the very most of the fact that there's a little bit of sun out through the cloud and there's nothing underfoot other than sand. Well, they're getting higher and higher, each of these, and longer and longer. This one is very long and narrow, but deep. Now not too far below the knees on certain steps. And when it gets to that sort of depth, it gets quite dark and you can't actually see the bottom. Just gone 10:30. And thankfully it's still quite overcast. In fact, we've just had a little shower of rain a moment ago. But the reason I'm thankful it's overcast is that this is the sort of area here, the whitest sand, that the tiger snakes will come out and curl up on it about this hour of the morning, 10:30, if the sun is out, especially coming off some wet days, some overcast days. Thankfully, while going through the Pingarup Plains today, it is largely overcast, which means they're not likely to come out and say hello. which is not a bad thing. But wait, there's more. And this one is high. Well, this one is the longest of all, and also the deepest. As you can just see, I've taken a bit of a slide, ended up half of me going under. But so far we've been working our way through this one for about 250 metres. And still no sign of abating. Jude is way up in the distance there. Told her to keep going after I took a strong tumble to my left. So not just the boots saturated now, the trousers, the shirt. Been a good day so far. And finally, it ends. Well, that one does anyway. Let's check the watch. Still got another 720 metres to camp. So who knows what could happen between now and then. Certainly looking forward to getting these boots off though. They are absolutely sodden, and each step for most of the day has been greeted with a squelch. And here we are on the doorstep of Wall Bales, named because of some hills to the east that it overlooks that look apparently like Wall Bales. But after a funny day, here we are. Well, the end of another eventful day, coming across the Wall Bales, about 22 kilometres all up. And boy, was there plenty of water. In fact, the biggest part and the longest part was the last one we went through just before we got to camp. And at some stages there it was above knee high, and I had a pretty good fall in there at one stage. Fell over to my left, got muddled over the shorts. They look an absolute picture now. But it was interesting, the terrain and the vegetation changed quite regularly, which was actually quite interesting. I expected it to be pretty much marsh and swampland throughout, but it actually wasn't. We did go through at times where it appeared to be almost like rainforest, very heavy, dense leaf cover on the ground, on the track, when it was very, very wet. Obviously rains a lot around here, hence you've got so much marshland, but there was some nice treed areas that we went through today, but it certainly was tough. Not tough in regard to how much you climbed or anything like that, but just the psychological side of virtually ploughing through water at times. And some of the stretches would have been, I don't know, maybe 150, 180 metres. And just when you thought you'd seen it all, another one would come along. But as I said, the worst one was the one right before the camp here at Wall Bales. But again, it was another day that is interesting. The Bibbulmun Track provides so many different things, so many different terrains, so many different views, so many different aspects of nature. And today we got a very wet one. So time to go to bed soon. And then tomorrow we're off to Long Point, where again we're going to be facing a little bit of water on the ground. Not as much as today. We've been warned that the roll into here to Wall Bales was always going to be the toughest coming in from Mount Chance, but we are going to experience a little bit more tomorrow. I'd like to say I'm looking forward to it. Well, I guess I really am. Time to leave Wall Bales this morning. We're heading for Long Point. We don't know what the weather's going to be like. In some parts it looks threatening, in some parts it looks like it's going to be okay, so it all depends which way the wind blows, I guess, and whether it can take the bad weather away. We had the hut to ourselves last night. Vicky and Greg have double hutted. They're already in Long Point. In fact, knowing them, they will have already left Long Point. Because there were just the two of us in the hut, you don't feel any pressure today, so we got off to a reasonably late start. It's a little bit after 7 o'clock, but given we've only got 17 kilometres to Long Point today, we're in no particular hurry. It will be a landmark day today though. So for the first time since we started in Kalamunda all that time ago, we're going to see the beach for the first time. It'll be the Southern Ocean, not the Indian Ocean, but at some stage we know we're going to crest a little hill and we'll be able to see a little slither of blue in the distance. By the time we reach Long Point tonight, we're only going to be a kilometre or so from the shore is where the hut is. So on our way, we will have some water to wade through again today, but from what we understand, nowhere near the nature of what we had to cope with yesterday, which was really quite something. That's where we've come from, and this is where we continue to head. The light drizzle starting to fall. Nothing more than that at the moment. Pack liners on, haven't got the ponchos out. The sky overhead looks like it won't be too heavy at the moment. Unlike yesterday, some of these that are deep and broad aren't broad enough to actually go through the entire sides of the road. So far this morning we've been able to negotiate our way around, whoops, stood in some nice mud, around the puddles. Whether that remains the case remains to be seen. So you've reached the Southern Ocean, Jude.
Wow.
First ocean you've seen since leaving Kalamunda.
Nearly 800 k's ago.
Nearly.
Wow. It's pretty spectacular.
Heading down the boardwalk and then down the steps onto Mandalay Beach. It's quite windy here today. This is the first bit of beach walking we will have done on the Bibbulmun Track, only about a kilometre or so, and then after that we peel away into the dunes and continue the campsite at Long Point. It'll be about 4 kilometres to travel. after we get off the sand. Hopefully the legs are ready for it. Safe to say, the sand is soft. Mandalay Beach actually gets its name from a shipwreck back in 1911. The Mandalay actually ran aground here just off this beach, hence it's memorialised, if you like, by the name of that ship that went to the bottom down here in the Southern Ocean. Tribute, I guess. I wonder how many lives, if any, were lost. The ship was. Hopefully all the crew on board were able to get safely to shore. Jude's just been lucky enough to see a large tiger snake go over the track. She was walking in front of me. So we're so far into this walk and I'm still yet to get a snake of any variety on video. That's where we'll be turning tomorrow to head to Walpole, and this is where we're heading now, the Long Point campsite.
Come!
An earlier start this morning, departing Long Point at 5:35 after 7 days without a town. We're heading to one today, heading into Walpole. I'm making an early start because it's 23 k's all up, and again we've got to get there before the visitor centre closes so we can pick up the resupply box and the bounce bag. The weather a little overcast, a bit the same it's sort of been for the last 4 or 5 days. Maybe some rain, maybe not. We've got the pack covers on. Hopefully the ponchos stay in our bag. Anyway, hopefully a smooth day of walking ahead. Seven k's out of Long Point now, and it's all been pretty easy. The sand still dune-like, but it's hard underfoot. A little bit softer when you have to go uphill, but we've done a fair bit of climbing already, around 260 metres, and we've still got the main one to come, Mount Clare. We're not staying there tonight at the hut. We're going straight through and going to end up in Walpole. We've got a distance of around 23 k's today, but with all the winding and the likes, it just keeps zigzagging the track back and forward on itself. It may be a little bit more before we get to the visitors centre, but the weather still holding off, looks okay. Quite cool this morning, and quite an ocean breeze sweeping across as well. But it is quite a beautiful day for hiking, there's no doubt about that. No issues so far, hopefully that'll be the case for the rest of the day. We're at the bottom of a little valley now, and we're about to very shortly start our ascent towards the Mount Clare hut. And it's going to be quite some ascent, because looking at my Fenix watch at the moment, we are at an elevation of 17 metres above sea level, and the top of where we're heading is at 216. So it's roughly a 200 metre climb to get to the top. So we'll soon find out how severe it is. Every now and then you walk on the Bibbulmun Track and you think, why is that actually there? Well, here we are at the bottom, as I mentioned a short time ago, before heading up towards the Mount Clare campsite, and literally in the middle of nowhere, there is a little place to sit. And Judith is momentarily resting her legs. This is incredible. Come round the corner and it pops up.
It is random. It is very random. It's very nice, but very random.
Very random indeed. Anyway, enough rest for you and off we go. Jude's stopping to take a photo on this suspension bridge over Deep River. Quite a fancy bridge it is too.
I just think about how they bring all the stuff in.
Exactly. It's a logistical nightmare, I would have thought. Here we are at the Mount Clare hut. We're not staying, we're just going to have a cup of tea, refill our own water bottles, and then keep going to Walpole. But there we go, Mount Clare. Welcome, and soon goodbye. Well, that climb to the top there where the hut is was pretty arduous. In some parts it was very steep, but the great thing was it was actually moderated, if you like, by the incredible scenery and the trees. And to come into Tingle territory is something I've always look forward to. I've been down around the Walpole area but never really walked through as we are here, heading into our overnight stop. But it is quite spectacular, there's no doubt about that. The moss, everything is back to what it was at various times around Pemberton and Northcliffe. It's funny how you go through the beach, the sand, the shore, walking on the beach, and then the day after that, here you are in one of the most magnificent forests, not just in WA, but one of the most beautiful and unique forests anywhere in the world. In fact, the three variety of tingles are only found in the Walpole area, and it's believed they date back 65 million years to the Gondwanan era, when Australia was attached to both Africa and India, the subcontinent. So we're walking through an incredible piece of history, if you like, and it is quite incredible. There's no doubt about it. John Rate Lookout it's called. See what we can see. Hey fellas.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, thanks. The Walpole Country Club and Golf Course. Imagine seeing that here. Wonder what time the tea time is for me tomorrow. Kilometre and a bit now outside Walpole, or at least away from its main street, and already you can see some houses popping up. Walpole's actually situated on the Walpole-Nornalup inlet. There's the Walpole River that we crossed just a short time ago. The town itself is actually named after Lieutenant William Walpole, who served in the British Navy alongside Governor Stirling. In fact, on HMS Warspite back in 1809, James Stirling, the first governor of Western Australia. Walpole was first settled back in 1909, so it's been around for quite some time. Nowadays, a very popular tourist destination. Also, a lot of people have their holiday homes down here as well. Well, unfortunately, I'm here in Walpole in the hotel room, and there's been a bit of a change of plan. It would appear that my attempt at the moment of a Bibbulmun Track end-to-end has come to an end. I'm heading home tomorrow for family reasons. There's some things I need to take care of with the health of some family members back in Perth. So tomorrow morning I'm on the bus out of here to Bunbury and then getting the Australian train back to Perth. Fingers crossed, I may still in a very short time, in a day or two, be able to get back here and continue my venture. In the meantime, Jude has gone ahead of me, or at least she will be tomorrow. If I do come back, I'm going to have to double hut for a couple of days to actually catch up with her. So at this stage, I have to wait and see what happens. I may be back in a couple of mornings' time. If not, I'm going to have to try and complete this adventure down the track in a few months or even a few years. Who knows? Not the way I wanted to end it, but who knows? It may not be over just yet. But tomorrow morning on the bus and quickly a trip back to Perth.